So get this. What if there was one single, elegant mathematical pattern that was the secret blueprint for, well, almost everything, from our DNA to the future of quantum computing? Today we're diving into exactly that idea. It's all centered on a fascinating concept called the Perez Hourglass, which might just unify the very origins of the genetic code with the future of our technology.
Okay, so it all kicks off with a really deep question, one that scientists have been wrestling with for decades. When we look at the code of life itself, the instructions written deep inside our DNA, is it all just a random jumble that came about through evolution? Or is there a deeper, hidden logic at play?
I mean, you look around in nature and you see these incredible ordered patterns, right? Like the perfect, beautiful spiral of a nautilus shell. But then you look at the table for the universal genetic code, the actual blueprint for all of life, and it just looks like a mess, a jumbled, almost random-looking chart. And that's the central mystery we're exploring.
All right, so here's the puzzle at the heart of it all. DNA uses a language with 64 possible words. They're called codons. But all those 64 words only translate into 21 distinct jobs. That's 20 amino acids and one stop signal. So you gotta ask, why the extras? Why this specific squeeze from 64 down to 21? It's always felt like there was some hidden rule that we were missing.
Now, the first clue to cracking this puzzle comes from something you might even remember from math class, Pascal's triangle. It's famous because it's built on a rule that is just so simple and elegant: addition. You just start with a 1, and every number below is just the sum of the 2 right above it. That's it. Just remember that core idea, building with addition. So if you look at the top half of the Pascal's hourglass, well, it is Pascal's triangle. It's a whole universe of numbers built entirely on that simple rule of addition, just growing and expanding. Think of it as the matter half, or the northern hemisphere of this whole structure.
But here's where things get really wild. The creator of this structure, Jean-Claude Perez, he asked this totally brilliant question. What if you made a mirror image of it? An antimatter twin. But instead of building it with addition, what if you used subtraction?
And when you do that, when you build that southern half using subtraction, you get this perfectly symmetrical hourglass shape. It's a complete whole. You have a matter universe on top built with addition and an antimatter universe on the bottom built with subtraction.
Now, this two-sided structure has some really cool mathematical properties. The rows in that northern half, the matter side, they always add up to the powers of 2. 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on. But the southern half, the one built on subtraction, that's where things get interesting. It generates this much more mysterious set of numbers called the Lichtenberg sequence.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, what in the world does any of this have to do with DNA? Well, let's zoom in on one very specific row in that northern matter half, row 6. If you add up all the numbers in that 6th row, you get 64. Exactly. The precise number of possible codons in our DNA. Okay, maybe a coincidence, right? But hold on.
Because the real jaw-dropper is what happens when we look at its reflection. Its antimatter twin down in the southern hemisphere. We're looking for the 6th number in that mysterious Lichtenberg sequence.
The number you find there, it's 21. Exactly. The exact number of functional meanings, the 20 amino acids plus that stop signal that our genetic code uses. Yeah. At this point, coincidence just feels impossible, doesn't it?
And this isn't just us noticing a cool pattern. There's real math that locks it all in place. A key finding from the research, called Theorem 8, provides a formula that basically proves that these two numbers, 64 and 21, are fundamentally linked inside this hourglass structure. They aren't separate things, they're two sides of the same mathematical coin.
So what does this all mean? The implication here is just wow. The way our DNA is built, that 64 to 21 compression, it might not be some random accident of evolution at all. It could be a fundamental consequence of this mathematical blueprint, a law of geometry that life itself just discovered and put to use.
There's this amazing quote that sums it up perfectly. It completely reframes how we look at this hourglass. It's not just a static, dusty old pattern anymore. It's an active, computational engine. And once you see it that way, a whole new world of possibilities opens up, moving way beyond just biology.
And that brings us to some mind-blowing technology concepts. First up is something called PHAM, which stands for Perez Hourglass Associative Memory.
It's a proposed blueprint for a totally new kind of computer memory, one that would be incredibly resistant to noise and errors, able to pull a whole file even from a tiny damaged piece.
And this idea isn't coming out of nowhere. This incredible graphic shows how it's all part of this grand symphony of mathematics stretching back over 5,000 years. It connects ancient ideas from the Sumerians all the way to the future of quantum computing and AI, with the hourglass sitting right in the middle, tying it all together. And when you talk about quantum computing, the potential here is just staggering. The unique properties of this hourglass could be a blueprint for solving some of the biggest problems in the field, things like flawless error correction, a new kind of unbreakable security, and maybe even a way to build bigger, more powerful quantum processors. It's like a potential roadmap to the future.
It all brings to mind this profound insight from the astronomer Johannes Kepler. The Perez Hourglass theory is making a very bold claim that the information that makes up matter, that makes up us, isn't just random stuff. It has a deep underlying geometry. So when you boil it all down, here's the ultimate takeaway. We may have stumbled upon a single coherent mathematical machine that acts as a universal blueprint for processing complex information, whether it's happening in the nucleus of a living cell or in the core of a future quantum computer. Which leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If the same simple rules of just adding and subtracting can generate a pattern that seems to describe both life and our most advanced technology, what other fundamental secrets of the universe are just waiting to be uncovered inside its symmetry?